Yeah, exactly. And it gets me to no end, the psychology of that people don't think and pay attention that gimmicks like that actually work. But, why should we be surprised that retail gimmicks work in politics as well when that's the level of engagement that most people have, most voters?
Yeah.
They're more engaged with their lives as consumers by far than they are in their lives as citizens or voters.
And it's a good thing, Adam, that we have MSNBC General Electric to tell us the truth about health care. Oh, by the way, the CDC just selected them today to track the H1N1 flu activity and to gather all of our personal medical records into one massive database so they can save us. There's something for you to do when you go to Congress.
For the interweb. Huh?
There's something for you to do when you go to Congress. Verichip got a big contract out of Swine 11, and so did General Electric.
And Donald Rumsfeld with the $8 billion that was in the last war supplemental to buy vaccines. $8 billion for Tamiflu. That's
the guy who said that making race-specific bioweapons would change the political process worldwide. Yeah, that guy. That Tamiflu and aspartame, which I know we almost got that ban from New Mexico, and then your corrupt governor, I think he's a Rothschild offspring there. He wouldn't sign it, so, well.
But, we got some interesting stuff going on here in New Mexico. We had a $650 million budget shortfall here, and Governor Gary Johnson, we have a part-time state house of officials that meet once a year for 60 days in the spring. I think that's their regular session. But he called a special session to talk about the budget, and they he really laid out some restrictions that were unconstitutional by New Mexico's constitution about it. And then, they made some tough cuts, and most of them were out of, the governor's office. He had, these elected or these appointed positions in his office, many of which weren't even filled, that got cut from the budget. And since then, he's been putting out almost daily press releases saying, the legislature screwed things up so bad, and the doomsday is coming because they screwed up, and my hands are tied by their legislation, and everything's going to be afraid, be very afraid, because services are going to suffer. And most people here don't really benefit nearly as directly from the state government as our contractors and state employees do. So, there's definitely a disconnect there. But I think finally, it's really exciting to see Richardson kind of get his comeuppance for all the fiscal irresponsibility of the state and the Democratic Party here over the last several years. Yeah,
karma's a bitch, Adam. Sorry about that. I mentioned that story about Obama.
Oh, no. To be fair, it's not karma. It's just basic math.
Yeah. Well, that works too.
But it can still bite you in the rear when you ignore it long enough.
I'll take it where I can get it. It is an attack on the flanks by the people who just aren't putting up with this anymore. I forgot to say, I mentioned this earlier, while Obama and Poppy Bush were loving each other and laughing about our situation, the idiot son languishes. Tickets to see George Bush do a motivational speech on sale on eBay, I think, for $4.95. That's $4.95. That's not karma, right?
No, that's forced voluntarism. Yeah.
He's going, where's my Clinton money, man? Where's my daddy money? Oh, bummer. Didn't happen. And it's funny because Poppy Bush, he looks at his own son like the rest of us do. He really does. He was laughing the whole time for the whole 8 years going, how are we getting away with this? I can't imagine. Meanwhile, I was on hand. I watched this personally, Poppy Bush drooling over the Schwarzenegger-Kennedy genetic monstrosities, their children. And you could just see the look in his eye. I was close enough to see it. He never was that nice to his own kids. I think they got big plans for those Schwarzenegger, Kennedy, Nazi kids. I don't know. I shouldn't have drugged you into that.
Something to watch.
Yeah, huh? You learn a lot when you're behind that velvet curtain. Hey, this just came out. Let me get your take on this. What's the situation with guns in New Mexico? How are you guys doing? Because here we're fighting the good fight.
We have a very strong gun culture here in New Mexico, and fortunately, even the Democrats know that they have to respect that in order to stay in office. So we're doing all right, actually. We have it specifically written into the legislation here that your vehicle is considered an extension of your home, and you can carry a loaded vehicle or a loaded firearm in your lap while you're driving, if you like.
Just not you can't be texting or anything, but you can have a loaded.
Yeah, texting in the city of San
You got to wear your seatbelt. You can't text, but you can have a loaded gun. All right, well that's close. Well, I brought that up because a New Jersey appeals court has come out here just a few days ago. They've concluded that Americans have no Second Amendment right to buy a handgun.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. When have we? I mean.
Well, how many people in Congress or how many people in the media mentioned this and stood up to it?
That would be so un-American of them. Seriously, do you really expect them to do that?
Well, they know what side of the bread their butter is on. The outcome might seem like something of a surprise, especially after the phony U.S. Supreme Court ruled that in favor of D.C. Heller. You still can't get a handgun in D.C. Thank you very much.
Oh, really? I haven't been tracking that.
The individual right to possess and carry weapons in case of a confrontation shot down in New Jersey. I think this is going to help that independent candidate over there. You get out and you start openly talking about stuff like this, and even the people of New Jersey, and that's saying a lot, they're not going to go for it. Finish up with us, Adam Kokesh. He'll be joining us here. Just a wrap-up. We'll come back to a couple of more minutes and tell you more about this November5th.com. Stay with us. Deadline Live, I'm Jack Blood, AmericanFreedomRadio.com and affiliates.